Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us on this program. Let's continue our journey. Let's now talk about using sports as a metaphor for life. In our consulting practice, we often do it for multiple reasons. Number one, in sports, the win and loss are pretty well defined. Either a team wins or a team loses. Yes, there could be certain sports where a draw could be one of the acceptable outcomes. That happens, where the honors are shared across between multiple teams. But regardless, the outcomes are pretty well defined. So that's one reason. Second reason is that in sports, and this often happens to almost all of us when our favorite team has lost the game and we are walking back to our car and then we are dejected and this is we are looking at the results, the replays after the fact, and we are talking about specific events that happened. Only if this catch had not been dropped. Only if this player had not slipped. Only if this pass had not been intercepted. Only if this left jab had actually landed at the right spot. We look at all of those factors and we can usually draw a line between that specific event that happened or did not happen and the final outcome. And that's usually a straight line. So in real life also, one could make an argument that it's not quite as linear as straightforward as that because there could be multiple factors that may have led to the same eventual outcome. But when you try to remove all the noise, try to filter out everything else, we look at just one specific thing at a time. Then sports does allow us to create this analogy between an event that happened, or perhaps two or three events that happened, and how that led to the final outcome. And this we need for our course correction, for our analysis after the fact, for our learning, just to figure out what, if anything, we could improve so we could maybe have a different outcome the next time. So we could sort of identify our weak spots. So let's continue now to our the topic at hand, the whole notion of business coaches. When you follow any sport, you play, you see the best players, they're playing out there in the field and they're performing to the best of their ability. They're extremely well talented. They've got the right training, the right background, the right equipment. They're the best in everything, and that's why they're at the world stage. And yet they've got a battery of coaches who are right there on the sidelines, trying to watch everything they're doing and trying to give them feedback in real time, suggestions what they could do to improve. That their coordination was not right, or maybe this one area, maybe your footwork is not right. You got to fix that. Maybe you need to bend more. Maybe you need to bend less. Whatever changes they might be able to do, very fine tuned to change the strategy, so the coaches would be able to do it. And again, this is not something that you can watch a video the night before and know exactly where you need to course correct. That happens because of how you're performing, because of not just how you're performing, but in the context of the whole environment, the game itself, the weather, the environment, the how the other team is showing up, how the sun is shining at different spots of the field. Based on all of that, the coach can give you real life opinion and feedback. And that's how what you do for your course correction, for you to be able to make certain and subtle changes to your strategy and how do you approach the next play. Um, so in life, when we come across situations where things are not quite going right, where we have taken a step, it may not have been the right one. We thought at the time it was the right call to have made, and now we are sort of halfway into it, and we are trying to decide what we should do. Guess what? We are so close to the action here that we may not be the best judges. It needs to be somebody external, somebody who's able to come in from the outside and look at the whole situation, and not just in the context of the event or the question itself, but in the whole overall ecosystem of what we are working towards. And based on that, the person, the coach, or the team of coaches will give us the right recommendation and maybe steer us in the right direction. Maybe a very gentle nudge. Maybe try to say, maybe they might come back and say, step up on the gas on this in this area, maybe slow down on the other area, change this strategy from this to that. So they're able to do this. So the question here is, if the best golf players in the world, If the best tennis players in the world, best basketball players, pick a sport, pick any sport, and you'd find coaches who are right there by the ring, by the field, looking at the performers, at the players, and giving them real life feedback. If these players need someone on the side to give them constant feedback and suggestions, would you not want to have the same in your life, in your business? This is a question that we are trying to direct with these conversations here. That we are trying to set the whole groundwork for you to really understand that the odds are stacked against the business owners. Businesses are more likely to fail than they are to succeed. We have already established that. All the statistics they point to this very horrendous, very hard and harsh reality of life. So the question then would be, do you want to maximize your chances, or do you want to at least line up with some more resources on your side so at least you have a better chance of surviving, of being the minority? So this is sort of one tool that you, in our very strong recommendation, that you must have in your arsenal, having a coach by your side. Let's now talk about some other factors that that we should be looking at in this analysis.